I don't know if it's just me that feels this way, but I think 2025 has really been a wild year for marketing. Like we've seen brands get bolder, we've seen brands go more personal and even much more creative than they have been in previous years. And to be honest, I'm not even complaining. I am living for this moment. I'm really loving every minute of it. And that's why in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my favorite marketing campaigns so far in the year 2025. I'm going to talk about what made them work, the marketing psychology behind them, and also sharing some lessons that I have picked up from these campaigns that I think might really be valuable for you and your brand too. And trust me, there are really some genius ideas in here. So you want to stick around. Let's get right into today's video. First campaign on my list is Dunkin and Sabrina Carpenter's collaboration. Yes. Dunkin teamed up with the pop princess, or should I say pop queen, Sabrina Carpenter, for their Strawberry Daydream Refresher campaign. And let me tell you, that campaign is a whole masterclass on fan driven marketing. Dunkin went beyond just using Sabrina's face. Like they went beyond just plastering her face on their drink, which is what many brands do. Just plaster a celebrity's face and think that it's going to change anything. They went beyond that. They actually tapped into a dreamy aesthetic life and launched a drink that actually did match our vibe. And I think it's absolutely genius. I mean, it blows my mind. That campaign literally blows my mind because what they used was parasocial relationships. Parasocial relationships are a form of emotional connections that fans feel with celebrities that they admire. So when Sabrina's fans saw us taking a sip of the drink, it literally felt like an invitation for them to be a part of our world. And let me tell you, that is just so brilliant. Like this is the perfect use of parasocial relationship to get what you want as a brand. Chef's kiss. There was instant buzz on TikTok. It was visually irresistible, and also the timing could not have been any more perfect. It was just perfect seasonal timing. And honestly, if you ask me, I think that the biggest lesson from this campaign, from Duncan's campaign with Sabrina, is that brand collaboration works best when there is audience alignment, right? That is the only time that you can get the best out of a brand collaboration. It's not just about plastering a big name on a product, it is beyond that. There has to be an alignment with both brands. With your product, there has to be a product alignment somewhere. And that is one thing that Dunkin got when they collaborated with Sabrina. It was just a perfect brand collaboration and it was amazing. Second campaign that I'm going to be talking about in this video is Bottega Veneta's Craft is Our Language campaign. Now, Bottega literally said, forget shouting, let's whisper luxury. And they did just that. I think that campaign was an amazing campaign. Their Craft is Our Language campaign was not about showing, it was not about just showing brand logos, it was about telling a story. They showcased artisans, they spotlighted artisans, their slow processes, and materials that literally made the brand feel so timeless. Like when I watched that campaign, it felt like, what what is this? Amazing. Like it was such an amazing campaign. The psychology that Bottega used for this campaign is that they tapped into scarcity and the craftsmanship bias. And I'll explain how. Whenever we see a product that was crafted with hands, handmade, we generally just assign more value to it. We see it to be more valuable, more thoughtful. A lot of care was put into making this. And that was what Bottega communicated with their campaign. Now, Bottega's campaign worked because it was a contrast against loud digital ads. It was so calm. The message was just there. It didn't have to be loud. It also worked because it directly targeted luxury customers. They knew their target audience and they went straight for it. One lesson that I hold on to from Bottega's Craft is a Language campaign is that sometimes the boldest move is not always loud or fast. It is in slowing down and allowing the work to to speak. And that was one thing that Bottega was able to communicate to us in their campaign. And I think it's a lesson that you can also hold on to when you're running a campaign. The next campaign I'm going to be talking about is Zendaya and On Running campaign. Now, Zendaya and On Running dropped the Zone Dreamers campaign. And this campaign was more than the ordinary sportswear ad that we see out there. It was beyond that. What they did is that they told a cinematic story about entering your flow, and it was genius because that campaign blurred the line between fashion, sports, and art. Now, this campaign just hits the narrative transportation effect. The effect where people just get so lost in the story that they become emotionally attached to the product or to the brand. This was what this campaign did. Now, I do not have to tell you that this campaign worked because it was a banger. It actually did work. It took off. It worked because this brand made use of emotional marketing instead of just pure performance marketing. Also, they stuck to telling a story. They focus on telling a story, not just selling the products. And that was super brilliant. Also worked because they were able to leverage Zendaya's global influence. Of course, Zendaya is a global influence, and the brand was able to leverage that. One lesson that I hold on to from this campaign is that when you have a product to sell, do not just be all up in people's face trying to sell the product. What you can do is that you sell the story behind that product. Sell the story, sell the transformation, and the product will definitely move. People will become emotionally attached to the product and it will sell itself. This next campaign I want to talk about, you probably already know it because it was everywhere. You can take a wild guess right now, and you're probably right. Of course, it's the Bumble, Amelia de Moldenberg, and Interview Magazine campaign, the collaboration between these three brands. Now, Bumble collaborated with Amelia and Interview Magazine to create a take on modern dating. Now, I think that it was a perfect match because Amelia has this, she's a comedian, she has this humor, deadpan humor. She's very funny, she's very real, very relatable. People know her for that. And it was an excellent match with Bumble's brand voice, which is being approachable, self aware, and real. I think one of the reasons why I think this campaign was really everywhere, and especially on LinkedIn, I saw it everywhere on LinkedIn, everywhere I turned when this campaign launched, it was there on LinkedIn. And the reason why I think it worked is because it makes use of the humor and relatability approach, right? And these two approach, they're one of the fastest way to break down customer skepticism. If your customer is very skeptical about your product or your offering, you use humor and you make it very relatable, you will break through them faster than you ever thought. And Bumble, they knew this and they hacked it. They ran with it and created an excellent campaign that went viral. And this campaign worked not just because they used Amelia and because of her personality, which also played a very huge role. I'm not downplaying that, but there are also other reasons why it worked. This campaign was an invitation to conversation, to have a conversation, not just for people to download Bumble. It was not an invite to download that app. It was actually an invite for your take on modern dating. It was an invite for their target audience to have a conversation. And that was really good. That was a really smart approach, and I loved it. Also worked because of the relatability part of it, right? They presented a very relatable person that had a very relatable take, and the humor with it, it made it really excellent and it made it work. One lesson that I hold on to from this campaign is that humor and authenticity are really big superpowers for brands, right? So if it aligns with your brand, if your brand can make use of it, I think it's a good place to start from. It's a good place to run a campaign from. Using humor and relatability, authenticity, it will cut through people faster than any polished, over polished ad. Now, I said I was going to save my absolute favorite for the last, and that is what I did. Now let's talk about my favorite marketing campaign for 2025 at the moment. And it is Rhode Skin's campaign of their peptide lip tint launch. Now let's talk about this campaign, right? It looked very simple. It looked very minimalistic, very nothing extra. I mean, minimalistic branding, soft visuals, easy launch. It was just, something really cool on the surface. But the truth is that the real branding, the real campaign of this product was not even the product itself. It was the founder. It was Hailey Bieber herself. That was the bedrock of this launch. That was the bedrock of this product. That was actually what made this campaign take off. Hailey Bieber was beyond the founder of Rhode Skin. She was beyond that. She was literally the face of the brand. She was the face of the product. She built a persona around herself. She had glazed skin, effortless beauty, that kind of persona. She built it around herself. And that made her sort of like a trusted authority in the skincare and in the beauty space. So when people saw Hailey Bieber with doing a TikTok or a video or a picture of herself using the peptide lip tint, it did not feel like an ad, right? It felt like a normal skincare routine. It felt like she was showing people what goes on when she's doing a personal skincare routine, but it was an ad. But it didn't feel like that. It was that organic. Honestly, whenever I think of this campaign, whenever I literally sit down to soak it in, right? I think that there are actually three forms of psychology that were at play with this campaign. The first that I think is the halo effect. People had a form of aspiration for Hailey, right? She was a person that people admired, people loved the personality, people loved the persona. And because they loved her, people literally transferred that positive admiration, that positive love that they had for Hailey to the brand. They transferred that love from Hailey to Rhode and to the product that Rhode was launching. The halo effect was at play. That's what I think. I think it was powerful. Another form of psychology that I think was at play with this campaign is social proof, right? Did not just use Haley, who is the founder, but they also made use of influencers. So at a particular point before the rollout, during the rollout, I mean, there were videos, TikTok videos of influencers, of Haley herself also making use of the lip tint, the peptide lip tint. It made it feel like, to their target audience, of course, it made it feel like this product is a must have product. People started to feel like, I need to have this product. Another psychology that I think was at play in this campaign was aspirational marketing. I think that was also at play. And I'll explain how, right? People were not just buying the product because it was the product. No, they were buying the product because they wanted to be a part of Hailey's lifestyle. They wanted to have a slice, maybe just a little bit of Hailey's lifestyle. And that is just incredible. And the big lesson that I have here is that I think it's also important if you're a founder, if you have a business owner, if you have a brand, if you have a business, try as much as you can to be a trusted authority in that space, right? If you have a business that in the skincare industry, try as much as possible to position yourself, have a form of branding for yourself as a trusted authority in that space, because this is exactly what worked for Rhode. This is why it is my personal favorite. It was super organic, super simple on the surface, but a whole lot of brilliance behind all the simplicity. It was such an amazing campaign. And maybe another brand is going to beat my list before and take Rhode's spot before the end of the year. But for now, Rose remains my queen. Hailey Bieber and her campaign remains my queen. So that's it, really. These are my favorite marketing campaigns so far in the year 2025. Let me know in the comment section what marketing campaigns have been your favorites. What marketing campaigns have you seen this year that made you go, oh my goodness, this is absolutely brilliant? Whoever thought of this deserves a raise. Let me know in the comment section what campaigns have blown your mind. Maybe I'll check them out and be like, oh my goodness, this is great. How come this did not make my lists? Let me know in the comment section. And thank you so much for watching this video up until this point. If you are yet to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please do me a solid by hitting the subscribe button right now. Also, if you found this video to be valuable, do me another solid by sharing this video to as many people you know need to see this, especially people in the marketing community. Maybe there'll be one or two things that they would learn from this video that will help them in their next marketing campaign, the next campaign that they're going to launch. Thank you so much once again for watching this video. Till I see you in my next video, do have a wonderful week and happy marketing. Bye.